You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So Syracuse football is firmly in the mix for a couple of four-star elite recruits. One of them we are going to discuss is a consensus four-star recruit, and the other is a near consensus four-star recruit. The first one that we're going to discuss is Messiah Hampton, 6 foot, 170-pound wide receiver from, you guessed it, Rochester, New York. That's right. So he is a bit of a hometown kid here, and he is a consensus four-star recruit and the top overall player in the state of New York. And he recently released his top 7 list of schools, and thankfully, our beloved Syracuse Orange cracked the top 7 for Messiah Hampton. It's Syracuse, Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, and Miami. So based on those schools pursuing Messiah Hampton, I think you can infer that this is a pretty big-time recruit. This is not your average Northeast kid that might get overlooked here. No. He's got the attention of basically every single big-time program in the country. And he's also got a commitment date set. It's actually pretty soon, Friday, June 13th. So that is 18 days from the time of this recording. That is less than 3 weeks. And here's the latest with Messiah Hampton. Does Syracuse have a chance to land a consensus four-star recruit from the state of New York, right? I think that the Orange have a chance. I think that they are certainly in the mix for a guy like Messiah Hampton. And of course they are. He's from Rochester, New York. This is a hometown kid. That being said, from scouring the internet, it appears that the favorite, at least for right now, is Oregon, according to On3 Steve Wiltfong and a couple of Oregon insiders. Relationships and recruiting, we've talked about this on the podcast before, and we will continue to talk about it because it's really important. And I'm referring to relationships, building trust with these recruits. And Oregon has something that Syracuse used to have. And that is wide receivers coach Ross Douglas. See, Syracuse had Ross Douglas a year ago on staff coaching the wide receivers, and he was recruiting Messiah Hampton. Well, in this offseason, Ross Douglas leaves Syracuse football and he decides to take the Oregon wide receiver coaching job. And well, that relationship between Ross Douglas and Messiah Hampton, it did not dissipate. It's still there. So no wonder why it appears that Oregon is now the favorite to land Messiah Hampton. That being said, the reason why I would not count out Syracuse in this recruitment, aside from just it being very, very close in proximity, Rochester and Syracuse, the Orange are going to get an official visit from him. That's a big deal. They are getting an official visit from Hampton on June 5th, and that is according to 24/7 Sports' visit page for him. So, look, you got him on campus. It's not going to be long until he commits. So, there is Syracuse's chances to potentially land a guy like Messiah Hampton, a consensus four-star recruit from the state of New York. The other one that Syracuse is in the mix for here as we do this football recruiting update for you all is CJ Hester, a 6'1" defensive back from Cocoa, Florida. He is a four-star recruit on every major recruiting service except for 24/7 Sports, and he also has a top list of schools, but unlike Hampton, who's got 7, Hester has 6, and Syracuse is on that list of 6 schools, along with Florida, Miami, Auburn, Georgia, and Iowa. So again, you can infer based on that list of schools that this is a big-time recruit. And he also has a commitment date set. It's a little bit after Messiah Hampton. It's on July 1st. So that's more than a month from now. So there's still time. It appears that the University of Florida is the favorite to land CJ Hester, according to multiple recruiting analysts out there. But Syracuse could swoop in because, like Messiah Hampton, they also have that official visit. It's going to be from June 6th to June 8th, and he's actually visiting Florida a week earlier. So timing is very interesting here. Florida appears to be the favorite. They're getting that visit right before Syracuse. We'll see what Syracuse has to say after he visits Florida. Overall, I would love if Syracuse could land at least one of CJ Hester or Messiah Hampton. That being said, there are plenty of other recruits to keep an eye on, even if they don't land one of them. 5-star wide receiver Calvin Russell from Florida. He's committing on July 5th, and we know that Syracuse is firmly in the mix to land him. There's also near consensus 4-star edge rusher Carter Gooden, who's visiting Syracuse from June 13th to the 15th, and rivals 4-star Hakeem Satterwhite, I believe he's a defensive back, is scheduled to visit Syracuse this weekend. So perhaps the Orange could land a commitment from Satterwhite. So there's a lot going on with football recruiting here on the Syracuse campus. And of course, for more football recruiting updates, eventually over the course of the offseason and when Syracuse starts landing more commits, we will, of course, have football recruiting expert Brian Smith to talk about these commits more in depth.